TG Geeks, episode 51, December 14th, 2015. Another interview? Why, yes, indeedy. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in kind of rainy, overcast Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from, I think I could use some conditioning in my hair, Phoenix, Arizona.
How about that? And we have another interview for you today, so we're just going to launch right into it. And this week we have with us two filmmakers from the United Kingdom, and it's Phil Pugh and Joe Capella, and they are creating a new film called Conditioning. Welcome, guys, to the show.
Hi. Thank you for having us.
Phil or Joe, whichever one wants to go first, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing?
Okay, I'm Joe. I'm an actor with a big background in theatre, really, and more physical theatre productions. Kind of met Phil a couple of years ago for a shoot with him, and ever since we've sort of had a creative partnership trying to push create films that we want to enjoy, we want people to enjoy, but also with an issue-based response from not just creating for the hell of it, but actually trying to put some meaning behind them. I've got a very big experience in issue-based theatre, but you don't really see a lot of issue-based film. So it's something we both agreed on, and that's sort of how we started out.
Wow, that's fascinating. Issue-based film, that's a new concept, I suppose.
Well, I suppose really, all films, should have a context of what they're all about. But of course, it is quite an interesting balance of, do you make a film for the hell of it, or do you want some deep meaning behind it? And I sort of talked with Phil about this film in particular, Conditioning. It all started out of, I wanted to make a horror film as gory as possible in order to sort of make people feel a little bit uncomfortable. But then we got discussing about it and saying, well, would people just want to see things for the hell of it? And then, of course, we thought about both our backgrounds, how we like putting an issue behind it, and thought, well, it's a good progression. So I think probably, you just don't notice normally the issues behind, but maybe to a normal audience, it should be a little bit more apparent, and that's what we wanted to put across with this one.
Right, sure. And this one is kind of important to us because we're the two gay geeks, and it's a, we'll talk about that in a minute. Phil, why don't you introduce yourself? Sorry.
Sure, yeah. Sort of like full-time filmmaker, really. Made, I guess, I've kind of lost count, but I guess this Conditioning film is kind of like probably within the region of my kind of 80th short film, something like that.
Wow.
Made a feature a couple of years ago, which is how I met Joe through that, called Almost Enemy. And my day job's editing and producing videos. Again, that's kind of issue-based for health services in the UK and charities, really.
Oh, well, that's fascinating. You work for the health services as well as charities doing filmmaking, or just editing and...
Yeah, producing. Filmmaking and editing. It's predominantly editing, but yeah, we do produce and direct stuff as well.
That probably keeps you pretty busy, I would imagine.
Yeah, very busy. Very, very busy.
Right. So
some lateness.
Yeah. So tell us about Conditioning. Tell us what it's about, and what made you think about this type of a film or this issue, shall we say?
Well, as Joe said, we just kind of started off wanting to make a gory horror film, and it was just kind of really thinking about how we can just make it more interesting, not just for the audience, but kind of for ourselves as well. And when we did sort of like strike upon the the idea of it being sort of hate crime based, that's when it took on a life of its own, and it just it was at that point it became really exciting to me anyway, and yeah, and it's kind of the ball kind of rolled from there, and it was kind of frustrated with sort of horror films being that you watch them and you don't really care about the people who are dying,
Right.
One bit, and they kind of set them up like you should care about them, but you don't, because they're either kind of deserve it, like in the case of the Saw films, particularly as they sort of like go on. You've got people who work in sort of insurance firms who screw people up really badly and things like that, and they're getting their comeuppance, and you don't really care that they die. You're kind of almost willing them to die. It's we just wanted to do something the complete opposite of that, so that the people who were kind of on the receiving end of the horror were kind of really innocent and sort of being persecuted for who they were.
Well, that's fascinating. So how long did it take you to come up with the story? And you said you met, a couple of years ago? And when did the idea for this film kind of take hold and really start to get the ball rolling on that?
My recollection of the start of this one was Joe showed me a video of a horror house in America. Is that right? Where you go to like a haunted house or something like that, and they play out for real.
I think it's based in, I think Florida, is it? And you pay basically to be as scared at your wits as possible. Like, we saw things from being tied up to people throwing blood on you. We're like, well, why should that? Why do people feel that obliged to go and pay for those things to happen?
Right.
If people are so scared about showing things on film to that extent, why are people paying that much money to go and have it done to them? So we started getting sort of ball rolling, going, well, could we use something like an improvised film shoot?
Right.
Everyone's used to improvisation on stage and theatre, but could we, have it that the actor doesn't know exactly what's going to happen to it and shows its first time reactions? However, of course, it's all good on pen and paper, but for safety reasons, it wouldn't be completely right to do, which is why we thought, okay, we want something that people can relate to, possibly feel for people, and hopefully avoid in future.
Right.
Basically, we're both mental.
So you finished the principal photography, is that correct, on the film?
Yeah, just yesterday, actually.
Oh, really? Wow. I thought you had finished that a couple of weeks ago, but I guess you're probably doing some pickup work, I assume. So how long do you think that it will take to edit this, and when do you anticipate releasing this film?
Hopefully the end of January.
Oh, wow. That quick.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, get sort of like a rough cut done by the end of the year, and then it's just kind of when the rough cut's done, from sort of our point of view, it's just a case of handing it over to other people to grade it, sound mix, score, and that kind of thing. So I guess it depends on who we get involved. But yeah, I'd hope sort of like end of January, at least the end of Feb. Get it ready.
Will you be submitting that film for film festivals?
Yeah, absolutely.
I really hope so, yeah. I think, what's nice to say again is thank you to everyone who, did donate like yourselves. Is we never expected to make that much money on our campaign, so it has opened a lot more doors. Like, we never thought about film scoring. We never thought we'd be able to have someone to edit it for us, and that's why it's going to be so. Hopefully January will be the first point, is because it's given us so much flexibility of what we've got to do with it and make it even better film.
Wow, that's incredible. I'll just throw this out there. If you want us to do anything as far as any film festivals here in the U.S. that maybe you're not able to do, we'll certainly be glad to lend our hand for that.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be fantastic.
We actually attended an excellent horror film festival just a couple months ago in San Diego. Mm-hmm. It even had a GLBT block in it. So sounds like something that maybe conditioning would be very well suited for.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we're really excited about sort of being able to submit this one to a lot of niche festivals, because I guess the stuff I've done before is quite broad. So it's horror festivals and that kind of thing be really kind of good to look into those and just see how it goes. See how it goes down as well.
I mean, really, I think I can't wait to see what other people think of our twist.
Yeah.
Like, of course, we know it back to front, but I just can't wait to see the reactions from people watching it and festivals, seeing what they actually think of
Right. So do you want to tell us, I mean, we did an article or a couple of articles already on conditioning and what it's about, and do you want to give us a real brief synopsis without giving any spoilers? Or can you do that since you've already made the film?
Yeah, that is difficult for us.
I'll spoil it if I don't.
Maybe we'll have to kind of edit bits out, but go on, Joe.
Oh, no. It's based on a couple called Blake and Ollie who basically end up in sort of a situation they probably shouldn't have ended in. To the point of they've ended up in this room with 3 different figures basically persecuting them for who they are, to the point of, well, I won't spoil anything else away, probably.
Yeah, and so the horror, I guess, kind of derives from it's very gory, brutal horror, but also the fact that these people are being kind of brutalized for who they are. There's that kind of real world horror element to it as well.
I can't wait to see it. I'm fascinated to find out what you've done with this film and what the story that you have shared with us in the article, or actually you sent us a big press release type thing.
Yeah,
and that was pretty cool. You went into some depth on what the film was about and what the inspiration was, and so that I'm looking forward to it.
How big of a cast does this short have?
I believe now 1, 2,
7.
Yeah, 7. I can say as well, they had every person who came for the roles all read the same press release you did, and basically everyone on board is exactly the same on board with the message, and all decided that it was the right way to go. It's been such a team effort to show exactly what we wanted to do. I couldn't do it without them. They've all worked very hard. I'm very proud of them, and I hope you're proud of what they've done as well.
Now, you've given some little hints here and there about people being persecuted and tortured for who they are, and you've also mentioned that you've got a film here where you're looking at people that the audience should care about are being taken out. Is it safe to assume that this, and like I said, I don't want to get into the area of too many spoilers, but are we looking at a cast that is largely GLBT, at least their characters are, that might serve as victims or fodder for the movie?
I think like the main characters, yeah, they fall under that demographic, and that's the reason why they're being persecuted. But when we were talking about it, it's kind of, we didn't want to get too hung up on that aspect necessarily, because it could have been kind of, you could take these 2 characters out and you could put in a mixed race couple or a minority race couple, and it'd be the same film.
It's basically for it. The way I can describe it is really like, you know, I'm a 26-year-old straight male, but I don't have any ties to anyone. But people judge me before they meet me because of the way I sound or the way I look, and then it sort of made me think, well, you know, if that's I get judged for what I look like. What happens if you actually have got a different way of life or a belief that you get judged on day and day? So it's not, basically that was the aspect we decided on for the characters, but it's interchangeable really with anyone. It's just the way we related it to the script, and we thought it made quite a good story.
It's more of a minority based hate crime is what you're kind of looking at. So you could replace the couple with any other couple based on a minority or ethnicity or something like that.
Absolutely.
I think you could swap it with anyone really, but for this, in terms of purposes, that's what we decided on, Blake and Ollie's way of life.
Cool.
One of the difficult things that I think a lot of filmmakers have to face when they're making a film, especially if they've got people that are going to be victims to whatever kind of dastardly situation they're going to be facing, is you need to make the characters very fleshed out, very fully formed. And while in some ways that's really kind of easy to do that in a feature-length film, I would have to imagine that must be kind of difficult to do it in a short film, to the point where, I mean, you obviously you need to have enough time to tell your narrative, to tell your story, but you got to be able to find, I would think you'd need to find some kind of balance in order to actually make the characters fully realized as far as the audience members go. What kind of difficulty did you face in trying to create characters like that And also, when it comes to editing, how do you strive to balance those aspects out between character development and story development?
Yeah, good question. It is tough.
I think casting helped. We had a team that we definitely knew were on the same page as us. We auditioned people that knew ourselves personally. We knew what relationships we could spark up with them. Well, a lot of research, I think, went into beforehand. You say that long films probably do more in-depth research, but I don't think there's any stone we didn't unturned before we started. Otherwise, I wouldn't have started writing it. I am perfectionist at the end of the day. And I think, well, so are you writing film.
Yeah.
Hence our late night discussions until we make a decision.
The early hours of the morning.
What is the length that you anticipate for this short?
It's not a hugely long film. I reckon we want to make 2 versions, if at all possible. But I think the main version is probably going to be about 5 minutes, 45 minutes.
How long?
4 to 5, not 45.
Oh,
4.
Wow.
4 to 5.
Okay. That's a lot of ground to cover.
We've seen shorts. I mean, oh my gosh, the film festival that we went to, we saw shorts that were anywhere from like 45 seconds up to 18 minutes or so.
Yeah, even the short ones, the very, very short ones, they were able to clearly get their story very successfully across. I mean, obviously they had to take some, not shortcuts, but they really had to hit the ground running in terms of letting the audience know who these characters were. Now, you said you were looking at 2 versions of this. Were you looking at doing a longer one?
Actually, a shorter one.
Shorter than, okay.
Phil has a very good sort of expertise in 1-minute shorts. And originally we were trying to possibly put it into that sort of category, but the more and more we wrote and decided what we wanted to put in, we realised it's going to be more 5 minutes. So I suppose, I don't know, it's probably more difficult to cut down the film than it is to add, but I think from the material we have, we've got a very strong storyline for what we wanted and the time frame we wanted.
Well, I suppose...
I don't know, you'll have to tell us on the next one, won't you?
I suppose that, given your background, Phil, that you are an expert at that shortness of doing charity things for people, because people's attention span is obviously...
Absolutely. I mean, I'm used to doing videos that are 2 to 3 minutes long, and I've done, I guess, about 60 1-minute films. So, yeah, you do kind of get a knack to it, and that's why I'm kind of thinking about it. I'm not so sure.
Right.
I don't know how.
That's why we stumped you with that question, because it's just part of what you are and what you do now.
Have you thought about, considering, let me rephrase this. Assuming that the short is highly successful, would you consider possibly expanding it out? I mean, we've talked to some film directors that had started with short subjects, and once they saw the incredible positive feedback that they were getting, kind of took a step back and thought, there's actually material here to turn this into something feature length. Is that something that you might possibly consider down the road?
It's not kind of on the table at the moment, because I think when you'll see the finished thing, you'll understand why, because it is really self-contained. Like I have got another short at the moment that's kind of, it does seem like it's begging to become a feature, but this one's really, really, like I say, it's self-contained and it wraps itself up nicely, and I can't see how we could expand it really.
Okay.
I don't think the characters could take it anymore.
No, unless it was just kind of, the only way we could expand it is by turning it into what we dislike about the sort of the slasher genre at the moment. So we probably wouldn't. I think it works nice as a short.
Okay.
Well, you mentioned, for example, sometimes you get characters that the audience simply does not go for. Characters that the audience doesn't care, and just, as you said, they kind of will them to die.
Yeah.
What is it about the long-form slasher format that you don't like, that you think, in terms of your storytelling, works better in short film subject?
Well, I guess in terms of this one, I think, like I was referencing Saw before, they just kind of put up a series of people who kind of deserve to die, and that's the basis of the film, really. All the people who are going through the tortures and everything, they're there for a specific reason, because they've done something wrong or bad, and they're getting their comeuppance. And that's kind of where features in that kind of genre seem to have gone really. And sort of, I guess 10 years ago, it was more like teens out in the woods who were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, but none of those characters were necessarily that likable and you just didn't care. It was a whole bunch of stereotypes. And I think with what we've done is, we've kind of stripped all that out and made sure that the two main characters aren't in any way stereotypical. Yeah, hopefully you do kind of like them and feel for them because they're not in the wrong place at the wrong time. And they haven't done anything wrong for why they're being persecuted. They're being persecuted for who they are.
That truly is a hate crime, if you will, to be persecuted for who you are, no matter who it is, whether you can apply it to any sort of, a geek or a nerd or a,
Absolutely.
Yeah. You could
whatever,
apply that to anybody,
a skater or
that could be applied to anybody that some other group of people feel, oh, you do not conform.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
Anything that you have coming up after this? Any new projects? Anything that you want to share or that you're thinking about, or you want to push some of your older projects? That I would be really interested in seeing Own Worst Enemy because
Yes,
I'm in that as well.
Yeah. We're wrapping that up. Hopefully, again, sort of get that finished up around the same time. We filmed that about 2 years ago now. It's just a huge film. It's a sort of film that I was hoping would come out about 90 minutes, and at the moment it's over 2 hours.
Wow.
So that's kind of the problem. We're just trying to get it down and sort of, tidy up all the rough edges around that. So yeah, that we're trying to get finished off. A Short Call to Live For that's been on the film festival circuit for about 12 months, over 12 months now, and that's coming to the end of its run. But that's done really well. That's screened all over the world. I think it's done about 15, 16 festivals. So yeah, hopefully that will go online next year. And yeah, I guess that's kind of it for me at the moment.
Well, I just have one last question, and that is, what can you tell us about Own Worst Enemy?
Own Worst Enemy is about a guy played by Mike Bourne, who's also in conditioning, who's kind of trapped in his house by his kind of own making, if you like. He sort of like created a reality for himself that prevents himself from going outside and interacting with people. And he's kind of stuck in this time warp. Because he's been on his own for so long and so kind of isolated, he develops a friendship of sorts with a TV weatherwoman who appears on his screen every evening. And subsequently, his own alter ego appears. And so they battle it out through the course of the film, really. And so yeah, that's kind of the basic premise for it.
A psychological thriller of sorts.
It's more of a dark comedy, but yeah, there's a psychological thriller element to it, and there's also a horror element to it. But yeah, it's more of a comedic slant, really.
Oh, cool!
Far out.
I look forward to that.
Yeah, I would be very interested to see that one as well. So, if anybody wants to learn more about what it is that you're working on, and if they want to learn more about conditioning specifically,
and more about the two of you,
individually as well, I assume you have a social media presence? What might that be? So if anybody wanted to follow you guys individually and what it is that you're working on, how could they do that?
Okay, for me, I'm most kind of active on Twitter, and we've got Conditioning on Twitter, which is Conditioning UK. Own Worst Enemies on Twitter, which is Own Worst Enemy UK. I'm on Twitter, which is Filmmaker, which is PHILM_maker. If
you want to follow my weird life as an actor, you can follow me on World of Capella. That's CAPELLA. Probably just Google me, to be honest. I pop up everywhere. You'll probably find me on YouTube very shortly during a viral that I'm about to put out, but I'm not ready to tell anyone yet. Or another current project I'm working on is a zombie horror film as a human statue, which you can follow on Twitter at ZomShortStill.
Far out. I assume it's a foregone conclusion that the two of you wish to pursue these careers in a more professional, manner where you're getting paid to make these kinds of movies that you wish.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel quite lucky that my day job is that I can edit and produce and direct. But yeah, I'd love to be doing these kinds of projects.
Making what you want to make.
Exactly.
I don't think, well, I've never stopped really. Like, I've been doing this for about 16 years, but only just starting to decide what I want to write and direct and make. So yeah, it's quite exciting times. I now also run a production agency, so it's nice handing over things to other people. This is why our partnership works really well, because we've got two sides of the coin put together. And to be honest, I'm a workaholic.
There's nothing wrong with that, I suppose.
No, not
when you're young sometimes. So, well, thank you guys for being with us today and talking about conditioning and what you have got going. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you for your time as well.
Well, thank you. It was great having you on, and we eagerly look forward to seeing conditioning. I'm very curious to see how you can tell what sounds like a really rich story, and to be able to break it down or pare it down into something as like 5 minutes. I think it could be a very exciting thing to watch.
Hope so, yeah, fingers crossed.
Thank you very much.
So thank you.
This is Gareth David Lloyd, Yanti from Torchwood, Solus from Dragon Age, and Jacob Fitz from I Am Alone, and you are listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
And everybody knows what that music is. That's our birthday music. And I will just say that it appears that the website I have been using for the birthdays has led us astray.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. We've had the age wrong, and it was quite apparent this week when Kirk Douglas and I had said that he was 98, but he's actually 99.
Yeah,
so.
it seems to be our website that you've been using has been off by a year. It's been
On virtually everybody.
Yeah.
So that kind of aggravates the heck out of me. So I will no longer be announcing the age of the individual. If they have a date of birth in another website that I check, I will put that in there. Otherwise, it's just their birthday. So
that's assuming, of course, that the website you are using has the correct birth year.
well, the other one, there's another website that I use for additional birthdays. So that one's usually correct. So anyway, here are a few selected birthdays for December 14th through December 20th. December 14th, Patty Duke was born in 1946, and Nostradamus was born in 1503.
I feel like I should come up with some sort of quatrain for that, but I just can't do it.
Oh, well. December 15th, Tim Conway, born in 1933. December 15th also, Michael Shanks and Garrett Wang. Also, J. Paul Getty was born in 1892.
Wow.
And Gustav Eiffel was born in 1832.
Is that how it's pronounced, Eiffel?
I believe it is.
I think that's how they say it in France.
Yes. And also, the Roman Emperor Nero was born in just 37. So, anyway, also, December 16th, Arthur C. Clarke,
One of
born
my
in
favorite writers.
1917. And Ludwig van Beethoven, born in 1770.
One of my favorite composers.
December 17th, Bill Pullman, 1953. And December 18th, Steven Spielberg, 1947. And Leonard Maltin, 1950. December 19th, Alyssa Milano was born in 1972. Do you know why I put that in there?
Well, she was, they used her body as a model for Ariel in Little Mermaid.
Why else?
Well, she was also in Charmed.
What else?
Oh, good God.
She was the inspiration for Star-Lord's ship name.
You're kidding.
Nope.
The Milana was based on her?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes, just
wow, you got me.
Little piece of trivia that I knew and you didn't. Nanny, nanny, nanny.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
Nanny, nanny, boo, boo, stick your head in doo doo. Oh, sorry about that.
Really? Oh.
December 19th, also Edith Piaf, 1915. I just put her in here because she had a rather colorful life, shall we say.
And the most amazing voice.
Yes. Also, December 20th, Harvey Firestone.
1868.
Harvey Firestone.
Oh, not Firestein.
Not Firestein. I knew you were going to do that. That's why I put that in there. Boy, Harvey Firestone of the Firestone Tire Company, 1868. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Hey, this is Crazy Joe.
And this is Dave, host of Megapodzilla.
The podcast equivalent to a 100-foot radioactive robot lizard.
But with horn-rimmed glasses and a pocket protector.
That's nerdy. We're on the rampage, laying waste to the geek landscape.
We'll talk movies, TV, comics, toys, video games.
And sometimes we talk turkey.
Don't you mean chicken?
That's right. So check us out at megapodzilla.com.
We're also available on iTunes and the Zune Marketplace.
Aw, yeah.
Go give a listen to our good friend Crazy Joe over at Megapodzilla. And now it's time for some listener feedback.
And boy,
do we have any feedback? this
We
week?
have, yes, we have so much that I actually thought that maybe we should have a feedback about Zilla, kind of episode, because we've got lots of feedback.
Feedback-a-palooza.
Yeah, feedback-a-palooza. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just that kind of stuck with me after the Megapodzilla bumper there.
Yeah.
But the first up is some actual voicemail that was left to us by Crazy Joe, and this is in regards to a story that we ran last month regarding how Disney is pursuing a live-action remake of Winnie the Pooh.
Oh! Here we go.
Hey, Crazy Joe here. I wanted to chime in on this live-action Winnie the Pooh. Well, first of all,
I always says
you guys
Pooh.
know my stance. I'm sick and tired of Disney live-action remakes.
Thank
I'm
you.
sick of them. I think Cinderella was unnecessary.
Really?
We really. Now, my wife loved it, and I enjoyed it.
So
I thought it was
fine.
good.
We liked
I
it.
didn't hate it. It was good. It was well done. It was a fine movie. I enjoyed it just fine. But I didn't need it. Now, fair enough. We don't need any movie. I always say that. We don't need any movie. We want movies. Movies are a desire. They're entertainment. They're not a necessity. So there's no movie ever made that we need. So
Speak
saying
for yourself.
We don't need it really isn't fair. But I don't really care. We got them animated. Why do we need them live action? But here's what I want to point out with Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh's been in live action before.
Yeah, different.
Very successfully. When the Disney Channel first began in the early 80s, one of their earliest series was a show called Welcome to Pooh Corner. And it was a live-action Winnie the Pooh, and it was done with guys in costumes
Yes.
and puppets. It was so successful that it got a spin-off series called Dumbo's Circus that used the very same puppet effects, but with a Dumbo cast of characters, and they aired together in a block on mornings on the Disney Channel back in the early 80s. Now, I was at a very young age at that time. I was in grade school.
Child.
And I got to tell you, I have fond memories of Welcome to Pooh Corner. It's actually my all-time favorite version of Winnie the Pooh, and I wish it was on DVD so I could share it with my kids. Yeah, that's where I stand. Live-action Winnie the Pooh, it's been done. It's been done successfully. It was done very well back in the 80s, and I really have no desire to see it again. And I have no desire to see live-action Dumbo, and I have no desire to see live-action Night on Bald Mountain, and the list goes on and on and on and on. But give us Tron 3. Thank you. Bye.
And this is what crazy Kira Fiore has to think about that.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Snap. Well, first off, Joe, you make a good point. Well, we don't need a movie. We want them. However, as far as Tron 3, no, I need Tron 3.
We need Tron 3.
We need Tron 3. I
Yes.
think you would agree with me on that. As far as Winnie the Pooh, yes, there was the Winnie the Pooh series. Even I remember it. I didn't watch it, but I couldn't tell you the number of times I'd be flipping the dial, passing over the Disney Channel, and there it is. But this is something entirely different. I mean, that's a children's show. We're talking about an actual theatrical film that is going to be sort of weirdly based on AI, artificial intelligence. So I kind of take exception to the idea of Winnie the Pooh live-action movie being made. And I wouldn't even put the Live and Pooh Corner or whatever it was in the same league as this live update. But I do like what your daughter has to say.
Yes.
Now, there is so much more feedback. Regarding a story we posted this last week regarding no second season for Jessica Jones. Ouch. Our good friend David Wagner from BTI left us this. Of course, my knee-jerk reply is, more Jessica Jones, please. It is so well done. I loved it. But the stated concerns with the season 2 are legitimate. I'd have to think that the show creators, as well as Marvel in general, would know how best to proceed. Sounds like they've got a lot of plans, and they seem to be firing on all cylinders, so I'll just sit back, watch it all play out, and reap the benefits as a viewer. These are the good days.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I still want my second season of Jessica Jones, and I think the original idea about layering the series between new shows that are debuting, like with Iron Fist and Luke Cage, layering them on top of returning shows like Daredevil is, and like I would like to see Jessica Jones happen. That's kind of the universe building I really wanted to see at the same time while rolling out Defenders. That's just me. Maybe Marvel/Netflix, maybe they do have too much on their plate, and maybe this is the only way they can to maintain some kind of quality. In any case, I would be sad not to see Jessica Jones come back for a second season because I think she's just absolutely brilliant. Now. Regarding a story that we also reported on earlier this week, how the Justice League movie could take up to a year to make.
Oh, my.
Our good friend Scott Linder writes, if, and that's a big if, the new movie comes out and is good, then maybe with that and the success of the Arrow and Flash TV shows, they can actually get a good Justice League movie out of it. Here's hoping. I had to reply to him on that. And I wrote back to him saying, sadly, there will be no representation of the quote-unquote Flareverse in the Justice League movie, despite Stephen Amell's protests saying that Warner should have really cast Grant Gustin in the role of the Flash for the movies. Absolutely is right. And Scott wrote back and said, yeah, and that disconnect with not casting Gustin as Flash, I think will really hurt the movie. It's kind of a slap in the face to fans in a way.
Yep, it is.
Scott, I couldn't agree with you more. Now, a very, very quick little reply, once again from Scott, regarding the Star Wars movie to debut the new Star Trek trailer. Scott simply writes, that's it. He writes, woohoo! Works for me. Now, for the really joyous stuff. Regarding our story on the Phoenix Comic-Con Fan Fest 2015, we got a reply from Patricia Chica at Chica Arts Public Relations, and she writes, Keith and Ben of TG Squared Studios are our new favorite bloggers.
Yay!
Thank you for the kind shout-out on this blog, giving some love to Chica Art Public Relations.
Yes, and thank you, Patricia.
Thank you, Patricia. And then on Twitter from Jacob Fitz himself at I'm Alone Movie on Twitter, he writes, we had a blast talking with you guys, and that's specifically Robert Palmer and Michael Weiss in regarding to the interview we had. And guys, man, it was
such a fun interview.
I just listened to it again earlier this week, and it just put a big stupid smile on my face.
Yeah.
It was such a great conversation.
Just sitting out there on the patio of the hotel, that was, and I'm sure everybody was walking by, and the bartender in there, what the heck is going on out there?
Didn't somebody come by, during the breakdown set? Are you guys part of a radio show?
I think I can't remember who that was. And I even had made a comment of, Yeah, that guy hammering over there, and he actually went away.
Oh my word! I didn't catch that
when we started the interview. Yeah.
Oh well, good for him. I don't think it. There was really not much background noise during the interview that I thought kind of took away.
It was really nice.
It was it was really great out there. Robert and Michael were awesome, and it was a blast for us as well.
Yeah, and the interview that we did with Gareth was really just it was
magic.
Incredible. Yes,
magic.
It was. The whole Comic-Con Fan Fest was incredible.
Yes, and now regarding episode 50, and the love keeps on coming from Scott Linder again. Wow, congrats on 50 episodes. This is another fantastic podcast. Keep it up, guys.
Thank you.
Wow. And this one surprised me, from Dallas Weber. He is the father of Brian Weber. He's Arkle's dad.
Yes, Arkle's dad.
And we make jokes about every time we have a little blunder that when something we're trying to say, we call it rented lips. And he simply writes back, "How many more payments until those rented lips are yours?"
Yeah.
And he said that with a wink. Hopefully very soon.
Yes.
And then from our good friend Claire O'Leary, wow, happy 50 episode guides. It's flown by. Extremely jealous you got to interview Yanto, although if I were there, I'd probably not let him leave. To be honest,
we didn't want to either.
We didn't want to either. We were having way too much of a good time.
We had a handler that was...
Yeah, she was...
not going to be pleasant if we didn't.
No, we were given 10 minutes time only, and as it were, we pretty much adhered to the 10 minutes.
Yep.
And then from a classmate of mine from high school, Donna Marie Fuller. She writes, "Congratulations on your first 50 episodes. Now on to the next 50.
Yes.
And then I want to give some honorable mentions to some followers on Twitter, Matt Hines, Kathy Harris Norman, and Kamina Dawnstar, for all the likes and the retweets of our 50th episode, as well as the accompanying article on Phoenix Comic-Con Fan Fest. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The reason we are doing this now and the reason things are just really ramping up for us is because of you guys.
Yes.
And I can't tell you how much it means to me, and I really mean this from the bottom of my heart, the love that you guys are giving us. It really
helps us to go on.
It really helps us to keep going, and it moves me.
Yep.
Really. I mean, it moves me deeply. I mean, seeing all these comments and realizing, that you guys are listening to us, and to borrow something from Sally Fields, you love us. You really love us.
Yep.
I can't thank you enough.
We do thank you. And it was this 50 episodes, we started off with kind of a flash and did in June of the year previous.
Yeah.
And did quite a few episodes, and then we took a little break around vacation, and then we came back, and we did interview with Jeannie and then Fan Fest, and that was about it. It was just... We took a break for a couple of months because it was just like, oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden it broke loose, and here we are, 50 episodes. We're looking forward to the next 50, and we do thank you. It's the positive feedback or just the feedback period, whether it's positive, negative, it doesn't matter. We want to hear from you because you are important to us. If you like our show or even if you dislike it, we want to hear from you. We want to know what's on your mind. We want to know how we can do something better, or what do you want to hear us talk about? What do you want to know?
Yeah, and we actually take suggestions. I mean, even Crazy Joe left us a suggestion once, and it was something kind of small, but we listened to it and thought, okay, sure, Joe, we'll do that.
Absolutely. So if you want to comment, you can look us up. Our Facebook page is TG Squared Studios or TG Geeks Webcast, where you can comment on the episodes and articles that we publish over there. You can even comment on our YouTube episodes or at tggeeks.com directly on the article itself or the episode.
Just like David Wagner did.
Absolutely, and you could receive a shout-out on a future episode as these people did today. You can also call our listener feedback line like Joe did, and we'll play your comment on air, 469-TG-GEEKS. That's 469-844-3357.
Hey, this is Robert Palmer of I'm Alone the Movie.
And Michael Weiss from I Am Alone the Movie.
And you're listening to the 2 Gay Geeks.
Okay, we've got a couple of things we want to talk about, and we just had a good chunk of mid-season finales. So I figured it'd be kind of fun to talk about it. Keith kind of felt the same way, that maybe we should take a look at some of these shows that we watch, and we know that some of you watch. Actually, many of you watch.
Yeah.
So let's start off with The Flash. It just had a mid-season finale break. Wow. Okay. And Keith and I have made no bones about it. I mean, we love this show, but
Yeah.
the big cliffhanger. Wow. There's another son.
Oh dear.
Joe West has another son.
Yeah.
Wally. Okay, now that's kind of
Wally
interesting.
West.
Wally West, who we know from those people who've read the comic books, Wally West becomes Kid Flash in an accident that virtually mirrors what Barry went through. They've changed Wally's origin a little bit.
I wonder if this new Harrison Wells and his team up with, we won't say, we don't want to give any spoilers away, if maybe he creates another singularity or some, not singularity, but some new accident.
Another accident.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. And maybe we got to have the Kid Flash.
That might be it, especially as we start to get close to the finale.
Yeah, you never know.
Of this particular season. Yeah, that's a really good thought.
So does Kid Flash figure into Legends of Tomorrow or
no?
No, he doesn't. Okay.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, interesting.
He's not in that at all. And although, we'll get to that in a moment because I got something I want to say about Legends of Tomorrow. But as far as everything else we saw on The Flash, I mean, it was a nice little episode.
A good start to this season.
I think so. There was nothing that was...
A couple of real interesting things that have happened, but...
I think the most interesting part was how Captain Cold actually kind of, without really meaning to, did a turn face against Weather Wizard and the Trickster.
Yeah.
And actually went to Barry to tell him what was going on, and this I think
I think that's setting up his.
Well, it does set up his character because he is going to do a very significant turn in Legends. At least he's alleged to. So that was a nice little twist that we got there.
Alleged.
I don't get it. And as far as anything else goes in this series, I mean, there is this interesting little bit with Harrison that for anybody who has not seen the show yet, okay, we're going to give you a little bit more time. We're not going to go too spoilerific on that one. But yeah, something very important happens there. All in all, it was an okay episode.
Yeah.
Some things that I did like. I love Mark Hamill. I just love Mark Hamill.
Yeah, he was really good.
I remember seeing the Trickster in the original CBS Flash series. And there was something kind of, really... very more playful about him. I mean, it was a CBS family show. Audiences are a little bit more sophisticated today. And this is CW, so it's kind of more geared towards a young adult audience. And I think the Trickster that we got in this one was just dark.
Yeah.
I mean, the trap that he had set for Barry was really kind of ugly. I saw a teaser for it, and all I could think of is, I have no idea how he's going to get out of this.
Yeah, it was pretty awful.
So I love the way the villains were played in this one, and the solution was pretty good. But all in all, it was just a very nice, okay kind of mid-season finale. Like I said, with just one very interesting little cliffhanger, and that was the introduction of Wally.
Yeah.
How did you walk away from that particular finale?
Oh, I felt good. It felt really good. Because of what Joe had said to Barry during the episode. It just, it was very touching. It was a very touching episode in that scene, and I thought it was a good wrap-up to the mid-season. Kind of brought some things, some story arcs, kind of not to a close, but brought them to their...
a nice resting place.
And as well as set up some... cliffhanger type things with some of the other characters as well.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was okay. Yeah, I mean, nothing really uber spectacular or anything that would break the internet like this next one did.
Yes.
Arrow.
Okay,
this was this was not just a mid-season finale. This was a mid-season cliffhanger.
Yes.
Things are coming to a serious boil between Oliver and Damien Dark.
Yes.
And what we walked away from was just shocking.
Very shocking.
Now, of course, there's been all the speculation since the very first episode of this season where there was a flash forward 6 months into the future, which is still a little bit into the future from where this finale takes off and ends, where we see Oliver standing in front of a gravesite, and he kneels in front of a headstone, and there's a close-up, and he's crying.
Yeah.
So somebody very important to him dies, and something really big happens at the end of this episode. And you know,
I don't believe it.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say it because the fans and the showrunners were correct. It did break the internet. I mean, I couldn't help but see it before I even watched the episode, and that is Felicity got shot.
Yeah, but I don't believe she's dead.
No.
I don't believe it's her in the... No.
Well, I know. She's not the one who's buried.
No.
I don't believe that for a second. She got shot? Yes. We see a very brief clip where she gets wheeled into ER, and then they show us a couple of more scenes from that episode where Barry's standing in front of the graveyard. The showrunners are trying to mislead us.
It's misdirection.
It is all classic misdirection.
I hate her.
What?
I hate her. Misdirection.
Oh. Yeah. Mrs. Direction, however, man, she's a real sweetheart. She gives me cookies. Cookies and milk.
What?
Yes. Cookies and milk. Yeah, I love her. Misdirection. Yeah, she's a real witch. In any case, I thought it was a very exciting episode. Although, because I knew what was going to happen, I was kind of like gritting my teeth the entire time as we were about to get there. And, of course, there was all sorts of little things telegraphing that tragedy was about to occur.
Yeah.
I mean, with Oliver proposing.
All of that stuff, yeah.
To Felicity.
But there was also some really good fighting on the part of Thea and...
Oh, Team Arrow.
Yeah, Team Arrow.
Good fighting.
Yeah, finally.
Man, I have just been like... that's something you and I have just really been bemoaning lately, that we've thought that the fighting choreography has looked really inconsistent. That, considering that Thea has been trained by the now Ra's al Ghul, you've had Laurel, who was trained by Nyssa, the daughter of the previous Ra's al Ghul, so as well as being trained by Ted, who the former Wildcat. So she should have some really good fighting chops. So it was nice to see them both using it, and good use of the canary cry.
Yeah, that was good.
I really enjoyed that. They fooled me with Malcolm.
Yeah.
Coming back and wearing the Arrow outfit, and he had his butt handed to him in that hand-to-hand fight against Dark.
Yeah,
I was shocked.
I want to know more about him. That's what I.
Yeah, I really want more on Damien's background, and I'm hoping that
and then the closing scene.
Okay.
Creepy.
Yeah, very, very creepy. Yeah, the way they played that, I mean, the Christmas Carol, which I don't even remember what it was now because I was just so focused on the scenes that we saw.
Right.
There's Oliver holding Felicity in his arms, and then there's the cut to Damien as he comes home to wife and daughter.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
I mean, just creepy as anything.
Yep.
But really well done. That was a fabulous cliffhanger. That's the second good cliffhanger they've given us in a year now, because last year's cliffhanger was apparently Oliver being impaled to death.
Yeah.
From Ra's al Ghul. So to get another cliffhanger of this nature was very exciting. I cannot wait. And luckily it's only just a few weeks.
Yeah.
A few weeks break. So that's going to be a really exciting return. I can't wait. So this now brings to Legends of Tomorrow.
Yes. Let's talk about Legends of Tomorrow.
Okay. For people
They're still airing the commercials.
They're still airing the trailer. Now, the first big story that came out was the possibility that there would not be any second season of Legends of Tomorrow because of the production costs.
And then all of a sudden they said, well, maybe we're not going to show this season.
Yeah, then there was a story that came out 2 weeks ago that said that the series might even get canceled before it premieres.
That would be a serious mistake.
That would be huge. After all the money that you've already poured into the show, hiring all these people,
make some of it back.
Make some of your stupid money back. Just don't go canceling it before it airs because we can't afford it, or we don't want to get people's hopes up. We'd rather cancel it now instead of running only a first season and then having to cancel a second one and face people's wrath. Hey, CW, newsflash. You've already got it. You've got the people's wrath by even coming out and saying, we may not do season 2.
Yeah, just beware. There will be people that will abandon everything CW.
And I think you're right because if you give us
make them mad, make the fans mad.
Don't cheese off the fans, man, because they are your greatest asset.
Yeah, and they watch your dumb commercials that you run in there.
Right
too.
Now, CW folks, now you just heard me and Keith talk about how it is the fans that keep us going. Hey, for all you execs, all you suits over at the CW who or for any network who make the life and death decision because your bean counters say this show is just not profitable. I got a newsflash for you. If you've got a fan base, you don't want to tick them off.
Yep.
Because they will abandon you like rats leaving a sinking ship.
Absolutely.
We understand that because we've got our fan base that keeps us afloat. Your fan base is keeping you guys afloat. Don't just toss Legends of Tomorrow into the wind. Let it air. See what happens. If production costs are an issue, well, then find a way to craft stories that maybe don't really rely on heavy production costs.
Yeah.
Do that instead.
You can do a few. My gosh. I mean, what was it? It was Doctor Who. They did a couple of episodes where it was nothing. It was, and a couple of other shows.
Star Trek The Next Generation did that. They were very good at saying, okay, here is your annual budget. This is what you've got to work with. Okay, so what they did, they then figured out, okay, here's some episodes where we can go really just, bang out crazy on effects, but on here, we're going to go minimal, but we're going to find a great way to tell you a great story that will still keep you reeled in.
Exactly.
Hey, CW, you can do the same thing.
Yep.
And Star Trek Next Gen, that was a syndicated show. CW, you're a network. You're part of CBS. You've got the bucks. Find some way to make it work. Figure it out.
That's enough of that rant.
Yeah, really.
No more of this.
No more of that one.
We'll stop being crybabies.
Yeah. For now. Because we've got another subject we want to talk about for now, and that is Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yay.
Now,
wow,
there was a lot of hype on this because it was supposed to be the big showdown. They were painting it two ways. It's going to be agents, S.H.I.E.L.D. versus Hydra, or they were calling it Coulson versus Ward. And it was a bit of both, but this was really about Coulson and Ward.
Yeah.
Especially
for the most part.
Well, for the most part, especially since Ward took out Rosalind.
Yeah.
And boy, Coulson was kind of really angry about that one. I wouldn't blame him.
Yeah.
So, okay. What did you just watched it a little while ago. What did you think?
Wow. That was amazing. It was something else.
What were some of the high points for you?
Well, I think the fact that we got to see what we thought was, what was his name? Will on the planet.
Maveth, I think, is what they call the planet.
Yeah.
In honor of the castle, because they said that Maveth means death in whatever language.
Yeah. So then, of course, there was that twist. We got to see the planet again. We got to
some more. Boy, did we see some of the planet?
Yeah. And I won't, no spoilers, but
no, but
there was something on the planet that
there were a number of things on the planet.
Interesting, and I think also to see the team working together and to see them step up and actually do something without Coulson directing it, and Mac being the assistant director, shall we say. That was really good. I think that they're kind of setting that up. I don't know whether maybe Coulson's going to take a back seat for a while or what, because he is going to have to face the music for what happened in this episode. So
you're not the first person to say that.
Just his own personal demons he's going to have to come to terms with.
Yeah.
So
you're not the first person to actually make that analysis that maybe Coulson will take a step back or step into a different role or do something, take some PTO because he has to deal with the loss of Roslyn, and Mac would then step up to become the temporary director.
Right.
One of the things that I did like, and I'm glad you reminded me of this, was the way the team worked together.
Yes.
It was so slick.
Yes, it was.
How everybody had something to offer. With Lincoln, with how he's able to blast Mr. Telekinesis guy with his lightning. How you had, I think his name was Joe. He's the one who could melt metal.
Right, yeah. That was a cute scene.
Great little bit there. It's fun to kind of watch him also be the new guy.
Yeah.
And at the same time, he really did step up to the occasion and do what was called upon him. And Hunter and Bobby.
Oh, that was great.
They had such great lines in this one.
Well, they have good chemistry anyway.
They have awesome chemistry, and that's why I still I'm kind of torn. I mean, part of me would love to see them stay in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but another part of me would love to see them get their own show because they are really great together.
Yep.
I mean, the actor and the actress, they're just fantastic. It was a very emotionally charged episode, and I remember some people on social media were kind of saying how they were very disappointed that it wasn't the showdown they wanted. I think this was kind of it served two purposes. I mean, in one respect, we got what we wanted.
Exactly. But as the tag was, so just hold that thought. Let's put a pin in it.
Yeah, put a pin in that one for now.
Yeah.
But I would say I was emotionally satisfied, especially after a certain little confrontation. Yeah. I won't say what it is, but I found emotional satisfaction in it. That speaks to my lesser nature. How did that make you feel as you watched it?
It made me feel sad for Coulson. It did. That it came to that.
That it came to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the final scene.
And that's why I say he's going to have to face his own.
I think he's got some demons he'll have to face.
Exactly.
The final scene where the team gets back, I'll just give you that tiny little spoiler. There was something very emotional about it.
Yeah, it was great.
It was very. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it was a good scene.
They
episode.
Really tied a lot of things together, but dropped us with a whammy.
Oh yeah,
I liked that. So that was a lot of fun. Now because it's a Marvel property, I have to talk about Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Now we've talked a little bit about it, so I'm not going to go too far into detail. We mentioned a bit with David Wagner's his voicemail or his email. Yeah, there's the talk about Jessica Jones not coming back for season 2. Man, I'm just going to go out and say on this little thing, Netflix, okay, I get the idea that a villain is what helps define the hero. And, of course, the villain has been dealt with by the end of this particular season. But I don't think you'd necessarily want to cancel or just say, we're not going to renew for season 2. Because to me, that's kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
That's just my personal take. I think there's a lot more you can tell.
They've got a while to think about that because we got another Daredevil, we've got Luke Cage, we've got
and they're already starting to develop Iron Fist.
Yeah, so they've got a couple of other shows that they can churn out before they have to churn out another Jessica Jones, and I hope that cooler heads will prevail.
I certainly hope so too. It would just really distress me if they decide that no more on Jessica Jones. I think that'd be a really bad idea.
Yeah.
So now this particular series did not have a mid-season finale yet.
Yeah, it's actually going to air the day that we release this episode.
But we're going to talk about it anyway.
Yep.
And that's Supergirl.
Supergirl.
Now, there's really one big reason why I want to bring this one up, and that is, I remember when the show first started, we were both kind of, we want to like it.
Yeah. But it's actually grown on me.
Guess what, people? I'm liking this show.
Yeah. And Kat has actually...
She's really...
They've really developed her and made her into a somewhat likable character. I mean, I hated her.
I couldn't stand her.
Oh, my God. If that's what it's going to be about, I'm not watching this.
Yeah, but they've really given her a lot of depth. They continue to grow her character. I mean, we got to watch the last 2 episodes earlier today. And one beautiful moment, I can talk about this because by now, people, you should have seen it. It's when, Kara just completely becomes unhinged right to Kat, and then Kat just kind of looks at her and...
Forward the phones.
Yeah, she says, forward the phones. She says, you're coming with me, chop, chop. Yeah, and they go out and they have drinks.
Yeah.
And I kind of get the feeling that, yes, Kat was able to recognize exactly what it is that Kara was going through, or at least be able to understand the symptoms, but I still maintain that there's some kind of respect. It's like, my little peon helper, she's got a backbone after all. She can be a tough woman.
Yep. And she saw something in her that she's probably going to develop as, the series goes along.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, it was like, and we had this discussion earlier before we watched these last 2 episodes, is the show is kind of like, what does it want to be?
What does it want to be? That's a really big question.
Where are they going with this?
I mean, okay, so
I kind of like it, but it's the villain of the week, and it's the come on, let's get some. Do we have some arc going on here? Obviously with Hank we do, but what else is going on here? We don't really have any real arc for Supergirl.
Not that we can
most of the other characters, yeah.
I mean, now there had been some,
and I'd say Supergirl has to make up with her gay friend.
Oh, absolutely. She's got to, Win. She's got to make up with Win. He's a real sweetheart. I really like him. Jimmy. Okay, one little tiny rant, and I know that some people are actually kind of like upset that they cast this particular actor to play the part of Jimmy Olsen. I'm not upset with the actor.
No, he's doing a great job.
I'm upset with the way they wrote him.
Yeah.
Jimmy Olsen was kind of nerdy, and I mean, obviously, maybe Jimmy Olsen was kind of nerdy during his days when he was working under Perry White, but they've got him kind of really as cool and suave
and
dashing and
ladies' man.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, that's not Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's not the race that this particular actor is. It's the way the character is being written. That's my only objection.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I mean, Win is more Jimmy Olsen than Jimmy Olsen.
Exactly.
There's your Jimmy Olsen. It's Win. And maybe that's why I like Win so much.
Yeah,
Besides the fact he's a good-looking guy.
Yeah. Just want to go ahead.
And now, as far as the arc, they keep there's all this really weird misdirection. Again, misdirection. She's rearing that ugly head again.
Yep.
And now, at the very end of this episode, we've Kara's crazy aunt.
Yeah.
Finally shows up again to wage war against Kara.
Yeah, so maybe that's an arc, but I mean they're.
But we've had these really weird things like in the last episode. Okay, Kara loses her power. She's normal for a day.
It was a really good.
It was a good episode for her.
Yeah, I mean it developed her character. It says that you don't need your powers to be a hero,
and at the same time,
it allowed Kat to be a hero as well.
Absolutely,
and come into her own and be a real fleshed out person.
It allowed a lot of people to really step up. So in that respect, I mean, there's even though we don't understand where the arc's really headed, the episodes themselves have been pretty strong.
Yeah,
I've very much enjoyed them, so I'm enormously happy with where the series is going.
Yeah.
Now, we did miss one.
We missed one somehow. Somehow
the TiVo didn't pick it up.
Either didn't
or
pick
they
it
didn't
up,
show
or it whatever. But
it was an episode that I think,
say it again. It really aggravates the heck out of me that CBS is the only network that you have to pay to see something that is past.
Yeah. And this kind of annoyed me, especially in light.
Very annoying.
Well, in light of what we just got in this last episode.
I mean,
the great development.
There's Hulu and there's Netflix. And
I know.
There's the websites of all of the different networks that you can go on and watch full episodes, and you don't have to subscribe. Yeah, you have to be timely in watching the things. Put the darn commercials in there. Pay for it that way. Don't make us subscribe to watch an episode that we happen to miss just because we've cut the cord.
Yeah,
we
no.
still watch network television.
Yeah. I feel like I'm sort of being punished, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
here's another thing I need to subscribe to on top of the Netflix, on top of the Hulu Plus. It's like, and even sometimes I would have to subscribe to a show on iTunes because it was the only way that I could get it.
Yeah.
So now you're pulling this one on us, and in light
You're
of
the only network that does
that's
that.
doing this, I know, and in light of what we got with Kat in this last episode, I'm now even sadder that we missed the one episode that was from 2 weeks ago, because it was to figure in her son Carter.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen that now.
Yep.
Because Kat, oddly enough, is now becoming the more interesting character on the show. Now that they're giving her some kind of depth, they're fleshing her role out, she's now becoming the interesting person to watch, to see what she's going to do next. And I suspect that by the time this series, or at least this season, is over, that we're going to see some remarkable growth in her character.
Yep.
And she's going to go from being just this two-dimensional, I can't stand to watch her, to somebody that a lot of fans are going to want to rally around. So I'm really miffed at CBS for pulling these shenanigans regarding the app. I mean, the new Star Trek series that's supposed to come out in next year or so is only going to be available on their website.
Subscription? Really?
At least for a couple of years before they air it on television.
Please.
Yeah, lame. So CBS, not happy with you.
Not
just
cool.
wanted to say.
Yep. Okay, we got a couple of follow-up items, as always. We want to remind you that Phoenix Comic-Con 2016 is coming up in June.
And already, I know that the planners, they're taking a good look at what went down in FanFest, and if you want to know what we thought, just go to the website, and you'll see how much we loved it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that the planners for FanFest are taking a look and seeing everything that did work.
Yes.
Which was a lot, and saying, okay, let's build on that. And they're already planning Comic-Con 2016.
Absolutely. And check PhoenixComicCon.com for updates, because on December 18th, the full website for Comic-Con 2016 and the hotels are going to be available at that time. So it's December 18th, PhoenixComicCon.com.
And for anybody that wants to attend Comic-Con here in Phoenix, and I would recommend it because it is very enjoyable. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's not as insane as San Diego, but it's got a lot of great stuff to offer. The hotels, once they are open for Comic-Con 2016, if you don't have the money, but you think you're going to have it later on, go ahead, make the reservation right up. You don't have to pay until you check in.
Absolutely.
And we learned that from the director of marketing, Jillian, for Comic-Con.
Yep. Also,
the Doctor Who Fancast. Doctor Who, Talking Who on Twitter, @TalkingWho. Thank you for continuing to publish our stories.
Yes, thank you.
That also helps get our news items out there, and I can't thank you enough. And in the same vein, the wonderful Arkle Times Post Dispatch News from good friend Brian Weber, also known as Arkle, and you can read the Arkle Times Post Dispatch News by following Brian on Twitter @Arkle, and we will have the links to both Arkle and @TalkingWho on our show notes. And lastly, as always, a great big shout out to the Facebook group, The Gay Geek, for allowing us to post our episodes on their page, and their URL is facebook.com/groups/thegaygeek. Special thanks to moderator Jeremiah Reeves, and I want to give special thanks. Now, during the feedback, yes, I gave honorable mentions to some of our Twitter followers, but there are a number of people that follow our shows that get posted on The Gay Geek, and they like our episodes when we post them there.
Yep. And I want to just give an honorable shout out for the Lookie Show. They are really
they're pushing us in a big
lot.
way.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll put the Lookie Show also on our show notes.
Yep. Up next time, we might just have a discussion on Christmas movies.
Since it is the season.
It is the season, and it will be that episode will be released the Monday before Christmas. And, not just Christmas movies, but holiday movies.
Movies that you associate with the holidays, and there are some.
Yep. And that we have a whole stack of them. We're not going to get through all of them.
No, not this year. No, there's just been way too much to do.
There's a few that we always watch, and there's a few really notable movies in our pile that we listen to. I mean, not only the pile, but the ton of them that we have on iTunes and on our shared drive. So maybe we'll talk about that next time, unless something else incredible happens. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out our article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links, show notes, etc. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I am Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. I bid you peace.
Cheers.